A little while ago, I asked you a simple question. What do you really want to know about living, retiring, and working in Cambodia? And honestly, I was not expecting the response I got. Hundreds of questions came in, everything from visas and healthcare to the real cost of living, to whether Cambodia is actually a good place to retire long term. Some of you even asked the questions that most people are too afraid to ask. So today, I'm answering them. Not the sugar-coated version, the real answers based on actually living here. In this video, we're going to cover things like how much money you actually need to live comfortably in Cambodia, whether foreigners can really stay long term with visas, what healthcare is like if something goes wrong, the biggest mistakes new expats make, and a few things about Cambodia that might genuinely surprise you. Some of your questions are brilliant, some are controversial, and a few of them might completely change how you think about moving here. So let's jump in and start answering your questions about living in Cambodia. One viewer asked, are there enough activities for retirees, slower paced things for older people? And honestly, this is actually one of the things Siem Reap is really good at. This isn't a big chaotic mega city like Bangkok. Life here is slower. A lot of retirees spend their time doing things like coffee mornings with other expats, temple visits around Angkor, gentle cycling around the countryside, yoga classes, walking along the river, social clubs and charity groups, golf, day trips to places like the floating villages or the countryside. There's actually quite a large retiree community here, and people tend to find their rhythm pretty quickly. So if you're looking for a slower, calmer lifestyle, Siem Reap really does suit that. Another viewer asked, health insurance is putting us off. We've been quoted £1,200 a year. And this is a really important point. For some people, £1,200 might actually be considered fairly normal for international health insurance, especially depending on age and coverage. But the reality is that a lot of expats in Cambodia take different approaches. Some people have full international insurance. Some people use regional insurance that only covers Southeast Asia, which can be a little cheaper. And some people actually self-insure, meaning they simply keep money aside for medical costs. One thing worth knowing is that Cambodia has private international hospitals, but serious cases are sometimes treated in places like Singapore or Bangkok. So health insurance is definitely something you want to research carefully before moving. Someone asked a question about air quality in Siem Reap, which is a really good question. In general, the air quality here tends to be moderate to good most of the time, although it can vary depending on season. For example, recent readings showed particulate pollution around 17 to 18, which is considered acceptable for most people, although sensitive groups should monitor prolonged exposure. That said, Southeast Asia does have what's sometimes called burning season, when farmers burn crop residue and you can get a temporary haze. So most of the year it's fine, but there can be periods where the air quality dips for a few weeks. This next question is actually one of my favourites. Someone asked, what should people expect in their first 30 to 90 days in Cambodia? The traps, the emotional ups and downs, and the mindset needed. And honestly, this is something a lot of people underestimate. The first month is usually the honeymoon phase. Everything feels exciting. The food is new, the culture is new, the prices seem unbelievably cheap. Then somewhere around weeks 4 to 8, reality kicks in. You might experience things like culture shock, frustration with bureaucracy, missing home, language barriers, figuring out how things actually work. This is completely normal. Most people who move abroad go through a phase where they think, "Ooh, did I make a mistake?" The key thing is, give yourself time. By around 3 months, most people start finding their routines, their favourite places, their social circle, and life begins to feel normal again. So if you're thinking of moving here, try not to judge the experience based on the first few weeks alone. Another question was, is there a lot of red tape to open a small business in Cambodia? Well, compared to many Western countries, Cambodia can actually be fairly straightforward when it comes to starting a small business. But there are still things to consider. You usually need things like business registration, tax registration, proper visas and work permits, sometimes a Cambodian partner, depending on the type of business. The bureaucracy definitely exists, but there are also a lot of agents and lawyers who specialise in setting everything up just for foreigners, which can make the process much more easy. Now, here's a very practical question someone asked. They said, I just acquired my E-type visa online on 20th of February and I land in Siem Reap 3rd of April. The visa expiry date says 20th of May. That's 3 months. So do I have until 3rd of May to extend it, or 20th of May? That's a really good question. Your visa is valid for 3 months, but it kicks in on the day you enter the country, and from that point you have 30 days, as long as those 30 days fall within that 3-month period. I would suggest going to the agent for the extension as soon as possible when you arrive. Normally it only takes a week or two to come back to you, but with Khmer New Year coming, things might start to slow down a bit. I'd get in there quick. And this question came from an Australian viewer who asked, I have an income of 2,200 Australian dollars a month. Is that enough to live in Siem Reap as a single person? Converted roughly, that's about 1,400 US dollars per month. And the short answer is yes. Many people live comfortably in Siem Reap on that amount. Your biggest expenses will usually be rent, food, transport, visa costs and healthcare. Depending on your lifestyle, $1,400 a month can provide a simple but comfortable life here, especially compared with many Western countries. Alright, well, I'm going to stop things there for this video. There were honestly so many questions that came in on the last video, and I don't want this one turning into a 2-hour marathon that nobody finishes watching. So we're going to call this part 1. If I didn't get to your question yet, don't worry. There's a very good chance it's coming up in part 2, which I'll be making very soon. And I have to say, some of the questions still coming up are really interesting. Things about dating in Cambodia, safety, regrets about moving here, and a few topics that people don't normally talk about. So keep an eye out for that. If you found this video helpful, please consider hitting the like button, because that really helps the YouTube algorithm push the video out to more people who are thinking about moving to Cambodia. And if you're new to the channel and you enjoy content about living, retiring and exploring Cambodia, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss the next videos. Also, if you'd like to support the channel directly, you can always buy me a coffee or use the super thanks button below. It genuinely helps me keep making these videos and sharing information about life out here. Thanks again to everyone who sends in questions, and I'll see you in part 2. And before you go, I'm actually curious about something. If you were going to move to Cambodia, would you choose Siem Reap, Phnom Penh, Kampot, or somewhere else? Let me know in the comments, because I read every single one and I'd like to know.